Keto and crime, keto and crime. We uncover the grime on keto and crime. Keto and crime, keto and crime. Now is the time for keto and crime.
So, everyone, it appears yesterday after the cameras kind of went silent on the stream during the trial that there was stuff unfolding. I did want to kind of update you on what went down while the streaming cameras were not rolling. And that is that the judge in the case, Bruce Schroeder, who's one of the longest sitting judges in Wisconsin, went off on a tirade about the media, especially them blasting him for not allowing those shot to be called victims by referring to them by any other name but victims. So he talked about how that was kind of common practice. It's legal, it's done in a lot of cases, but this case is just being used as some kind of political weapon. His words, not mine. And so that's the reason they are lambasting him for it when he said he's done it in many cases and it has been done in many cases and will continue to be done in many cases, not to refer to those that were injured as victims until some kind of conviction is handed down. Uh, and so he went off on this long tirade. District Attorney or Prosecutor Thomas Binger uh, reassured him that the state was not using that in any way as part of their prosecution. So it was just a long thing. It reminded me a lot of back when the O.J. Simpson trial, when Judge Ito kind of went off on the media a little bit, as well as when they were attacking his wife for some unrelated shenanigans. He kind of went off on the media as well, and I think that's just kind of common on these cases that get a lot of media attention. Um, I'm divided on this. I love to know. I love to be in the know. I'm a true crimer, but this is why I usually cover cases that are in the past, classic cases, if you will, because I'm not harming anybody by delving into the story. Whereas things like this, it could very well be damaging. But I know everybody wants to know what's going on in this case. I want to know what's going on in this case. We also have the Ahmaud Arbery case going on at the same time, the trial. The three men accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery in last year as well. You can follow Nate the lawyer. He's covering that case day by day. I might do a summary of that case once it's over. I do have a initial uh, summary of the case done last year, right after it happened. I'll link it right up here. It does not include any new information that has happened since last year, but if you want step-by-step coverage of the trial, go over to Nate the Lawyer's channel. So while all this shenanigans with the judge was going on, I think they cut the cameras. So that's why I was unable to get any further information after they had interviewed after both Corey Washington and then the detective testified. But evidently some brand new evidence was dropped yesterday as well. FBI infrared aerial surveillance of the area over car source lot 3 that showed both Kyle Rittenhouse, Joseph Rosenbaum, and the Zeminskys. Remember, Josh Zeminski is the one that even the prosecution has conceded fired the first shot that night at car source, running down the road toward car source. And it was just released yesterday. They played it while one of the detectives was on the stand, and he confirmed the identities of all involved, and according to the prosecution, it proves that Rittenhouse was the aggressor by chasing the other two, but the defense alleges that it shows that it was literally an ambush on Rittenhouse by the others. And after I've watched it 5 times and listened to other people's analysis of it and just watched it in complete silence by myself, I have come to the conclusion, hate me if you will, that everybody was just running willy-nilly, and they were angry at Rittenhouse because he had either put out that fire that Corey Washington testified about, and that he was out in the road rendering medical aid, putting things up after they got knocked down, and they were angry at him, and I think they did turn and try to ambush him from the looks at it, because there were several points during that run that Rittenhouse would have had a clean shot at any of them if he wanted to do it and did not. So I think that's very telling. And they also superimposed pictures, video taken by Corey Washington, the Facebook Live, with the surveillance. You can see what's happening on the ground as well. In some of this footage, you can also hear Rittenhouse screaming, "Anybody need medical, 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 medical." You hear Kaminsky and Rosenbaum yelling, "F you, let's get him." And then Rittenhouse replying with "friendly, friendly, friendly." So, y'all, I think at least in that particular part of the incident, I think it was possibly self-defense. And then everything else started. I'm divided on this case. I think a lot of it was self-defense. I think it was a lot of play stupid games, win stupid prizes on both sides. I would not have let my son go down there. But then again, he was, very close to being a grown man. He can make his own decisions, but I would not have let my son go out there at all. So he would never have been in that particular position. But I don't think he went out there with the intent to kill anyone. And I think, whatever you want to call them, victims, rioters, looters, they were playing stupid games, winning stupid prizes, and they went after the wrong person. I mean, you can't not deny that when it's right in front of you. And I hope I don't lose any subscribers. Hope I don't make anybody angry by saying that, but I'm only going on what I just saw. So, yeah. So I'm going to play this footage for you with a little bit of my commentary over it. And also, I want to thank Actual Justice Warrior, who is the one that supplied this footage, and you will hear some of his commentary when I play the footage raw for you. So I'm going to play my commentary, then the actual footage after, so with sound, so that you can see what was actually happening. So all of this is very telling. Like I said, I had a completely different interpretation before this, so when I saw it, I've changed my opinion a little bit. I mean, you can't deny the facts that are right in front of your face. I mean, it's there. Anyway, I am in and out of work meetings all day today, so I won't be able to listen as closely to the live stream of the trial as I would like, but I will be back tomorrow with a complete breakdown of, I'll watch it tonight, so I'll be back with a complete breakdown of day 4 and day 5 Friday evening. I also have 2 classic cases coming for you this weekend. So, yeah, I hope you're enjoying this. I'm enjoying following this trial. It reminds me of when I used to be obsessed with the O.J. Simpson trial. So with that being said, let's dive into these videos. All right, everyone, we're going to take a look at this. This has been superimposed by both media and Sean over at Actual Justice Warrior, who is a great channel. Thank you, Sean, for this footage. Go over there and subscribe to him if you haven't. He's a great commentator, a great factual-based news guy. And so basically what we're looking at is footage from Corey Washington, the very vibrant witness that testified yesterday, who I really like, and I highly recommend you go check him out on social media. Corey spelled with a K, Washington. And this is his footage that we saw clips of yesterday in the trial, superimposed with brand new FBI and police surveillance footage from aircraft and drones that was also taken the night of August 25th, 2020. This has not been released. This has not been released to the media until now, and probably not even to the defense until now. I think the prosecution had this and sat on this, and I think you're going to see why here in a moment. Which, and if you're asking yourself, is this kind of surveillance legal? Yeah, it is. Yes, this kind of police surveillance is very, very legal. In fact, it was used as far back as the Ferguson riots of 2014 to kind of get an aerial view of what was going on with that, and all the way back actually to the LA riots when helicopters would take the footage instead of drones. So this has always been law enforcement way of kind of looking at large scale events. So not so much worried about that. What I am worried about is kind of what this shows. Now the prosecution contended yesterday afternoon, after all the hubbub with the judge, that this shows very clearly that Rittenhouse was the aggressor and was chasing both the Kaminskys. We know Josh Kaminsky, who was, as who we have already heard, did fire the very first shot, fired that night at car source lot 3, as well as his wife, Kelly, who was there with them. We haven't heard so much about her, but this video very much implicates her as well. And of course, Rosenbaum and Rittenhouse. So this is video footage that we saw yesterday of both Rittenhouse, Rosenbaum, and the Zemitskys running toward car source lot 3. Evidently after Rittenhouse or someone resembling Rittenhouse, we saw him with the fire extinguisher, had put out a fire, and they became agitated and angry with him, and then it appeared they started chasing him. So this is that footage superimposed with the brand new FBI footage that has been superimposed with the people circled, and the FBI, law enforcement, including one of the detectives that testified yesterday, have confirmed the identities of these people in these videos. So let's check that out. So here you see the standard footage running down the avenue. You can hear Rittenhouse scream, "Anyone need medical?" There's Rosenbaum. They're running toward car source 3. As you know, Rittenhouse could not get to car source 2 because it was blocked. You you can hear Corey Washington comment about the guy pulling the trash can out, and this is where it goes to the superimposed area, and you see people running. This is just an aerial shot of the same footage. So watch it, watch it. And this is an aerial photo over car source lot 3. And you see Rosenbaum running. Right now it looks like Rosenbaum is ahead of Rittenhouse. So it would appear at this point Rittenhouse is chasing them, and there's the Zemitskys, Rosenbaum, Zeminski, and you see Rittenhouse behind. And then here what it kind of shows is that everybody was just kind of running willy-nilly. No one was really chasing anyone. They were just kind of running willy-nilly. And then you start hearing the Zemitskys screaming at Rittenhouse. And then if you see Rittenhouse is running, 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 running. Now look. Now look at the way. And then he heads into Carlisle. And then there's Rosenbaum. There's Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum is literally kind of lying in wait for him. And then Rittenhouse makes the right turn into the car lot with Rosenbaum kind of behind the car watching him. Now, does he actually look like he's chasing these two? No, he's just running willy-nilly. In my opinion, we have Rosenbaum. Here we have Rittenhouse. We have the Zemitskys here. You can hear the yelling and the screaming, and I'll play the footage in its entirety for you in just a moment. And then you see Rittenhouse kind of come up, and this was testified by Richard McGinnis, the independent journalist who was on the ground, that Rittenhouse had hidden after the first shot was fired by Zeminski. He hid in some cars. Rosenbaum then approached Rittenhouse and attempted twice to take his weapon, and that's when Rittenhouse fired. So, of course, the prosecution is contending that Rittenhouse was chasing them. I think they were all running willy-nilly, as you saw. And to me, as the average everyday viewer, it looks like Rosenbaum was lying in wait for Rittenhouse. Now, I'm not excusing Rittenhouse being over in Kenosha with a gun. I think, civic order goes, only so far. I think there's wrongdoing on both sides, but from what I see here, it really does, in my opinion, appear that Rosenbaum and Zeminski got upset when Rittenhouse and his people put out a fire, and they were out to get him, and he defended himself, at least in this one. And then, of course, people tried to get him after that, and then, the others, I've yet to comment on the others because I don't know, but I think at least in the shooting of Rosenbaum, it was, in my opinion, looking at this, self-defense. And now I'm going to come back and show you the footage in its entirety with the sound.
trailer. Oh, yeah. And they definitely need that trash can to put their garbage out. Oh, he's blocking the road. So now we're out by Frederick. So yeah, a large crowd over here smashing the SUVs. I think
The drone footage, and again, the footage is really crappy and it's pieced together, and I understand, but bear with us, shows that Rosenbaum starts running in the same direction. Now, the prosecution stupidly, unbelievably, idiotically assumed that this was Rittenhouse chasing Rosenbaum, but if you follow the footage to its logical conclusion, you will see that if Rittenhouse was chasing Rosenbaum, then when Rosenbaum decided to make a right, Rittenhouse, who would have had a clear line of sight, again, if this was the guy that he was chasing after, could have easily followed him. However, Rittenhouse stayed straight and only made a right around a different SUV. And this is the key and crucial moment, because Rosenbaum, according to this infrared footage, is peeking out at Kyle Rittenhouse, looking for an opportunity for him to turn his back. But what?
And that's it, everybody. Long and short of it, form your own opinion. I'm just giving you mine. I really appreciate everyone watching and enjoying this with me. I couldn't do this without you. And yeah, thank you so much. I hope you'll come back, continue watching. And until next time, Keto Krime.